The locksmith's van was still in the driveway when she pulled up, blocking her own car. She sat there for almost a full minute, engine running, staring at the front door of the house on Sycamore Lane like she didn't recognize it anymore. 2 suitcases sat on the porch, zipped, lined up neatly beside a cardboard box labeled, "Kitchen." A man stood at the door, arms crossed, saying nothing. She didn't know yet that he'd read every page. She didn't know yet that the twins were already gone, safe, 3 streets away. She only knew her key no longer worked. 8 months earlier, Daniel Whitfield believed his marriage was ordinary in the best way. Rebecca ran a small real estate office off Providence Road in Charlotte, and Daniel worked long shifts as a contractor, building decks and remodeling kitchens across Mecklenburg County. They had 6-year-old twins, Ella and Sam, a mortgage they were proud of, and a routine that felt solid. Rebecca had always been the practical one, the one who balanced the checkbook and planned Thanksgiving dinner down to the minute. Daniel trusted her completely. That trust was the foundation everything else stood on, until the foundation started to crack, quietly, in ways he didn't notice. It started small. Late showings that ran past 9. A new gym membership she never used at home. A phone she suddenly angled away from him at dinner. Daniel wasn't the suspicious type. He chalked it up to stress, to busy season in real estate, to marriage just being marriage sometimes. His mother, visiting from Asheville, was the one who first said something. "She's somewhere else even when she's sitting right there," she told him over coffee on the porch. Daniel laughed it off. But that night, he lay awake longer than usual, staring at the ceiling fan, wondering when exactly he'd stopped asking Rebecca how her day went. The diary wasn't hidden well. That was almost the cruelest part. Tucked behind a shoebox of old sneakers on the top shelf of their closet, it fell when Daniel reached for a winter coat in early spring. He almost put it back without opening it. Almost. The first few pages were unremarkable: grocery lists, a client's difficult closing, a note about Ella's dentist appointment. Then came a name that didn't belong. Jason. Jason from the gym. Jason who understood her. Jason who made her feel like herself again. Daniel read one entry twice before his hands went cold. "I can't keep pretending Daniel is enough. I just need to figure out the kids." He didn't confront her that night. He didn't confront her the next night either. Instead, Daniel drove to a diner on East Boulevard at 6 a.m., ordered black coffee he didn't drink, and read the entire diary cover to cover in a booth by the window. 8 months of entries. Dates matching trips she'd said were work conferences. A line, dated in January, that stopped his heart completely. "Jason says once the divorce is final, the twins will adjust. Kids are resilient. We just have to time it right." Not an affair. A plan. A plan that involved his children as a line item to be managed, timed, adjusted around. Daniel didn't scream. He didn't throw anything. He called his cousin, a family law attorney named Marcus who worked out of an office near the Mecklenburg County Courthouse, and asked one question. "If I have proof my wife has been planning to leave with someone else for 8 months, and it involves our kids, what do I do first?" Marcus's answer was simple. "Don't tell her you know anything. Document everything. Protect the children first, protect yourself second, and let the truth do the talking later." Daniel photographed every page of that diary that same afternoon, then put it back exactly where he found it. For 6 weeks, Daniel became someone Rebecca didn't recognize. Calm, attentive, almost unreadable. He picked up extra shifts to pad a savings account she didn't know about. He quietly enrolled the twins in a new after-school program near his sister Emily's house in Matthews, just in case. He met with Marcus twice a week, building a custody case brick by brick using her own handwriting as evidence. The hardest part wasn't the paperwork, it was tucking Ella and Sam into bed each night, reading them the same dinosaur book, knowing their mother was somewhere down the hall planning a future that didn't ask what they wanted. The photos of the diary weren't the only thing Daniel kept. He kept receipts from a hotel off I-77 that Rebecca's card had paid for. He kept a printed email from Jason's work account, forwarded accidentally to a shared family calendar, that mentioned the timeline for telling the kids. He kept a voicemail, saved to his phone, where Rebecca told a friend that Daniel was too simple to notice anything. Each piece went into a folder Marcus called The Record. Daniel didn't want revenge. He wanted something harder to fake. The truth, laid out so plainly that no one, especially not a family court judge, could argue with it. Then came the Tuesday in September when everything moved at once. While Rebecca was at a closing on Selwyn Avenue, Daniel picked the twins up early from school himself, drove them to his sister's house, and told Emily they'd be staying a few nights. He called the locksmith that same afternoon. Not out of spite. Marcus had warned him that once the papers were filed, possession of the marital home mattered, and Daniel had already been granted emergency temporary custody that morning based on the evidence submitted. By the time Rebecca's key failed to turn in the lock, the decision had already been made in a courtroom she didn't know she'd been summoned to. She pounded on the door only once before Daniel opened it, holding a manila folder instead of anger. "Where are my kids?" she said, voice cracking between fear and fury. "Somewhere safe," Daniel answered. He held up the folder. "I read it, Rebecca. All 8 months." Her face drained of color. "You went through my things. You went through our marriage," he said, "and decided our kids were something to schedule." She reached for the folder. He didn't hand it over. "Judge Alvarez already has copies," he said quietly. "This isn't a fight anymore. It's already decided." She sat down right there on the porch steps, suitcases beside her, and finally said the thing Daniel had waited 8 months to hear. "I was scared of becoming my mother. Stuck, unhappy, pretending. I thought Jason was proof I still mattered to someone." Daniel crouched down to her level, not out of forgiveness, but clarity. "You could have told me you were unhappy. Instead you turned our kids into an exit strategy." He paused. "Love doesn't get to make plans behind a closed door and call it fate. It has to be spoken, or it isn't love, it's just convenient timing." 6 months later, the divorce was final, filed and closed at the Mecklenburg County Courthouse on a gray Thursday in March. The judge granted Daniel primary custody, citing the documented plan involving the twins as a deciding factor. Rebecca received standard visitation, supervised for the first 90 days. Jason, it turned out, had done this before, a fact that surfaced during discovery and quietly ended his relationship with Rebecca by June. She moved into a rental off Park Road, alone, selling real estate to strangers instead of building a life with the people who once knew her best. Daniel kept the house on Sycamore Lane. He repainted the porch that summer, the twins picking out the color. A pale yellow Ella insisted matched sunflowers. Thanksgiving that year was smaller, quieter, but honest in a way past years hadn't been. Emily came over with a pie. Marcus stopped by for coffee and stayed for dinner. Ella asked once why Mommy didn't live with them anymore. Daniel knelt down, the way he had on that porch step months earlier, and said only, "Sometimes people forget that love means staying, even when it's hard." She nodded like she understood more than a 6-year-old should have to. Rebecca still sends birthday cards. Daniel still lets the twins call her every Sunday at 6. There's no dramatic reconciliation, no tearful reunion at a Christmas dinner, just two parents doing the slow, unglamorous work of raising kids from separate houses on the same street grid. Daniel doesn't talk about the diary anymore, not even to Marcus. He keeps one copy locked in a drawer, not as a weapon, but as a reminder of the night he chose patience over panic, evidence over accusation, and his children over his own broken heart. Some nights, Daniel still walks past that closet shelf and feels the ghost of that shoebox falling. He doesn't flinch anymore. He built something steadier out of the wreckage, a home where the truth doesn't hide behind winter coats, and love, whatever else it is, always gets spoken out loud before it gets decided in silence.